You're listening to the Passionate Proof podcast, where we bring you empowering episodes on manifestation, mindset, and so much more to discover, find, or fuel your passion. I'm your host, Ellie Hendricks, and my mission is to enable you to be the proof to your passion and make it your paycheck.
It wasn't always like this either, you know, like obviously, like I shared in my story before, like I was numb to feeling a lot of things and was the queen of seeking external validation. Like everything I did was just to be liked and accepted. And then I got to this point of being like, I don't even like myself. I don't even like myself. And that was the shittest feeling. I let go of and these people that I was trying to get to like me, I actually didn't like them either. I was like, I'm trying to get approval from these people that I actually don't even like, which is causing me to not like myself. And it was just like this, so what are you doing it for? And it was like, well, I don't know how to like myself. And it was like, so learn how to like yourself. And that was where this journey really began. So yeah, I can totally resonate with everything that you're saying. And, you know, I mean, we're born into a society and a culture that teaches us that we need to be a certain way to be accepted, or we need to have certain things to be liked. And it's crazy because it is one of our core needs as a human is to belong. Like it's actually a universal need that every single one of us have. And yeah, when you start to, like, there's one quote, I think it's like, your vibe attracts your tribe. And it's so true, because if you're in the vibe of, you know, living to impress other people, feeling like you're fake and you're not really being true, you're going to attract those kinds of people. But when you start stepping into such a space of truth and setting boundaries and being, you know, just loving yourself and empowering and believing and trusting in what you do, like, you definitely attract those kinds of people. And it's just really, really cool to, like I said, be the proof in the pudding of this shit works. It does. It takes a while, because, you know, you got to unlearn a bunch of things. But when you get to that space, you're just like, yeah, like it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow. And what are some tips, I guess, for the listeners who maybe are struggling to love themselves? What are some sort of first steps to take in, I guess, sort of accepting yourself and, you know, being able to look in the mirror every day and be like, I'm beautiful, I'm unique, I love the way I look, I love the way, like, you know, my body shape, or the, you know, the shape of my face and stuff like that. Like, what is some key things that you have used in your past experience to be the person you are today?
Yeah, great question. So a big thing that I did actually was a social media clean out. I went through my Instagram and I went through my Facebook, and I unfollowed every single person that I felt that would make me feel shitty. And in the way of, you know, I'm not trying to give my power to other people. It wasn't about that. But I used to follow a lot of, you know, Fitspo pages and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And I just, you know, I remember having this feeling. I was sitting in bed and just looking at these people and just feeling so awful about myself. And I was like, what are you doing to yourself? And I was like, nah, that's it. I am getting rid of everything that is creating this unrealistic expectation of someone I don't even want to be. And I'm going to start following people that I want to be like. And I wanted to start loving myself more, and I wanted to be more comfortable in my body and embrace my body. And so I started following those kinds of women, you know, some really great ones. You know, Nicole Lillian, she's doing amazing things. Another one is Rosie Rees from Perth. She's doing amazing things, really great body positivity stuff. And, you know, I guess myself, like, I'm really promoting that now because I live that. So that's definitely one thing I would do, is just go in and just do a social media clean out and get rid of every single person that you feel like shit when you look at. Because you don't need to feel like that. Yeah. And another thing would be just talking to yourself in the mirror. So shadow work was a big part of it. And sometimes you need to have a coach or be part of a community where you're encouraged to do this and you're supported to do this, because it can be quite confronting. But even just start with looking yourself in, 2 seconds out of your day. It's literally 2 seconds out of your day. And it might feel super weird when you first start doing it, but it becomes easier and you realize how good you feel when you do it. But just taking 2 seconds to actually look at yourself in the mirror, in your eyes, and just be like, I'm so beautiful. Like, I really am. I'm so beautiful. And because I remember I used to look in the mirror and be like, oh, look at this pimple. Oh, look at this. And my nose is too big. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And, I don't have, thinking about it, I don't really have those moments anymore, because every time I look in the mirror, I find something that I like about myself. And our knowing what I know about human behavior too, our brain is wired to look for the things that we tell it to look for. So if you're going to sit there and look for imperfections and you're going to look for flaws, you're going to find a whole bunch of them. Shift your thinking, reframe that. What do I love about myself? And like I said, it's going to feel really uncomfortable in the beginning because it's not something that you're familiar with, but you'll get to a stage where you can't imagine not doing it. So another suggestion can be to, for anyone that's journaling out there, or if they're not yet, I highly encourage it's something to start doing. It's just really cool to gain that kind of self-awareness. But even just write in your daily practice each morning. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but just one thing you like about yourself. And it could be something super weird. It could be, I love the freckles on my cheek, or I love the way my face feels after a shower. Like, something so simple, but it really does start creating new pathways in your brain, and it completely changes your thinking. So that's something I highly encourage, would be social media clean out. Start following people that, allow you to feel empowered. Seek a coach if that's really if you want to, I guess, speed up this process, because, I've had coaches ever since I was 20 and it's been so transformational. Say nice things to yourself in the mirror, and just write down one thing you like about yourself each day, or even each week. It doesn't have to be big. Just somewhere to start.
Yeah, definitely. That's some really good tips too. And just really starting small. Doesn't have to be anything major, especially with the journaling. Because I love journaling. I do journal every day. Try to every day, don't say every day. But it's definitely a practice that I love. And it's just really, it's me time. Like, I get to write about my day, what's sort of worrying me, what do I want? Like, what am I looking forward to? What is something, like, what is just anything that's on my mind that I need to get off? And also, like, things that I want to do in, the podcast, or sort of future, coaching and stuff like that. Like, just little ideas that come up. And I think it's so amazing to be aware and conscious of these things that come up, and just writing them down, and, really not letting your mind get too overwhelmed with information, because I feel like there's a lot going on in the world, and I feel like there's a lot of benefit being able to write it down and get it out of your mind. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And just want to acknowledge you for that too, Ellie, because that's so great that you do that, that you give yourself that space to just talk so openly too, because that's a big thing for me with journaling, is like, it is such a judgment-free space for me to just download everything that's in my brain. And that's it's so cool to have. It's so cool to have. And when you've got that intention of just being like, this is, every new journal I get, I always write what my intention of it is at the beginning, and why this journal is important to me. And it's just like, because it gives you that freedom to think about so many things. And it's like, I guess it's like, if you've got a drawer that's really, really full, and it's full of all these things that, that they're kind of all random, like a utensil drawer, right? That one that's got all the spatulas and tongs and stuff in it. And there might be, some weird egg strainer thing that you don't really know what it does, or whatever. There's a bunch of random stuff in there. And you actually go through it and you're like, there's so many things in here I don't actually need. And you take a bunch of things out and you realize how much more space you've got in that drawer, and it's so much more organized. And maybe when you go out and you see that garlic crusher at Kmart for $2, you can buy it because you've got room in your drawer now. And I feel like our minds are kind of the same. If we don't create that space to let go of old things and just have a bit of a brain dump and get it all out, then we don't really have the energetic room for new things. So that's really, really great that you're on that journey and on that path, because it's been a game changer for me too.
Yeah, definitely. Such a great metaphor too, especially like getting rid of things that don't serve you. If there's things that are on your mind, like just to get them out, there's no reason for them to stay there, like pondering away in your mind. Like it's exhausting. It really is exhausting. And I feel like there's like you don't need to share with anyone what you write down. It's really personal. It can be about anything in your life. And it's just a great opportunity to sort of express everything that you're going through. And I think a good way, if you want to look back at it in the future and see how far you've come as a person in what you used to think about and what you used to worry about and all the little milestones that you've achieved along the way. I just find it's like a little reflection, I think, to be able to be like, oh yeah, I went through that and look where I am today, sort of thing. It's so cool.
Absolutely. And I love that you touched on that too, because it's weird. Like sometimes you feel called to reflect back on your journals and sometimes you just don't. And it's interesting when you do, because I really started getting into journaling beginning of last year. I used to dabble in it a little bit when I was younger, but just, actual having a practice and stuff like that. And I love that, what you said, because you look back and you're like, oh my God, that's what I was worrying about. And, you have these moments because you do allow yourself to be so raw and so vulnerable. And, you have these moments and you really don't think you're going to get through them, like everyone goes through those real tough moments, of being like, oh my God, like what's the point? And I feel like that's something we need to start normalizing too, is the fact that, we're human and it's okay to have dark thoughts sometimes. But it's about having those support systems to get you through them and allowing yourself to feel them too. And that's what's so cool about journaling, is it does give you that space to do that. And like you said, you can reflect back and be like, holy shit, like I got through that, and look at the things I used to think about and things I used to worry about. And because I've taken those steps and I showed up in that way, like I'm all the way here now.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Definitely.
When it comes to the point of you don't trust yourself enough to make any kind of decisions and you rely on people for that, I feel like that's where journaling's really helped me, is that I'll start writing about something and my truth will start to come out. And I'll be like, oh my God, this is actually what I want. Or, just allowing that flow to happen and giving myself that space. Like my intuition comes through of what I actually want. And I realized that I didn't actually need validation or permission from anyone, because I just needed to be with myself and I just needed to ask myself what I wanted. And writing is one way to really, I guess, connect with that.
Let's talk about your favorite quote or quote that you go to put you in a higher vibe, or just to really set you back and realign or reassess, your next step.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said quote, sir. I feel like it's so hard just to pick one.
Yeah.
I've got a couple that I feel like I really tune into. One of them is, she believes she could, so she did. I've actually got that tattooed down my right side. I think I got it on like my 19th birthday. It's just, she believes she could, so she did. I just find it so powerful, because if you really do believe in yourself, you can do anything.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Amen. The next one would be, I think it's from, oh God, I can't remember who it's from, but I actually heard it through listening to another podcast, and it was, it's not your job to like me, it's mine. And I just thought, ooh, that's good. I like that, because it is. And we really do give away our power by wanting people to like us, and it's not their job. It's our job to like us. People love you based on how you love yourself. And I feel that's so true. Like, you show people how to treat you. And if you're in a space of, no self-esteem, not liking yourself, constantly people pleasing or changing who you are to like, I guess just like feeling quite flaky in who you are as a person, because you're not clear, you're not strong in that. And a lot of that is because we're never taught to trust ourselves. So I want to really clarify that, like, you know, if this, for the listeners, like, if this isn't to shame you when I say this, and if this is triggering you, like, good, because that means you've got some work to do. Like, let that trigger open a doorway for you of transformation and of healing. So yeah, have compassion for yourselves, and yeah, you show people how to treat you. And if you don't have any love for yourself, you cannot expect someone else to love you in that way. You cannot expect someone else to meet your needs if you are not meeting your own. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. You can't expect someone else to know how to love you if you don't know how to love yourself. And as much as someone can give you, you know, like affection and all those sort of tangible things, I think digging deep into, just your own self needs and your own self wants, like, we have the ability to enjoying your own company, for example. I feel like it's something that a lot of people may struggle with, because they always want someone to be there for them and, you know, want to share experiences and stuff, which is totally fine. But I feel like at the same time, it's so, like, I don't know, undervalued when you, like, people who don't spend time with themselves. It's a good time to reflect and really just deal with things that you didn't get to deal with when you were with people and stuff like that. I feel like it's you time, and it's being able to have that space for yourself in letting your emotions come out, whether if that's, I don't know, crying, or knowing how to just have that space for yourself. It's so sacred, so sacred. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally resonate with all of that. And I love that you shared that, because it's like, that was a big thing I had to realize is, you know, like, if you can enjoy your own company, you'll never be lonely. You might be alone and feel, you know, feelings of loneliness. That's completely normal. But if you can seriously befriend yourself and fall in love with yourself, and I don't mean this in a way of getting to a space of like, I don't need no man, I don't need anyone, I'm an independent person, you know, like, screw everything. I'm not talking about that kind of behavior. I mean in a way of just falling so in love with yourself that you feel complete and you feel content in who you are as a person. And when you're on that vibe, when you're on that frequency, you will attract people the same. You will attract, you know, those kinds of men. You will attract those kinds of women. You will attract those kinds of friends, you know, work relationships, all of those things, because you're literally operating at a different frequency. It does really all starts with you. And I feel like that's a good lead into like my last quote, which is, I think it's by Buddha, love Buddha. And it's, what you think, you become; what you feel, you attract; and what you imagine, you create. And I just feel that it's so true. So true. Good old Buddha. He's always on it.
Yep.
he gets
it. Sure
it.
is. It's almost as well like the law of attraction. I just read this book called The Secret. Highly recommend. The most valuable thing I got from that book was the law of attraction is, it's like a magnet. You really attract what you put out there, whether if it's your mind, how you express yourself, the things you say, just everything you put out to the universe will just attract back to you. For example, like, if I don't think I will achieve this, then you won't. But if you say, I will achieve this and I am achieving this, like putting into real present tense, nothing's stopping you. You've put it out there. You've set yourself a goal. You just, And those quotes are so powerful. And I feel like being able to resonate with those quotes and stuff, it just shows how much of a higher vibe you are on, and the frequency that you give out to the universe is just incredible. I love it.
Thank you, Ellie. And likewise, you know, and I felt that I also feel like that's why we connected too, you know, because we are on a similar frequency. And like you said, you know, like, we're constantly attracting things, and whether we're aware of it or not, and they can be feelings that we're resisting as well. And our language does define our experience, just like what you said. You know, if you're in this space of like, I'm not going to get that job, or I'm not good enough, your brain will search for evidence that that is true, whether that's bringing someone into your life or you not getting a job or anything like that. And that was something I had to realize, especially around my relationships with men, was, you know, I kept meeting these boys that, you know, needed someone to fix them and needed just, were very needy, and I, you know, quite narcissistic and quite abusive. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I keep meeting these guys who are, you know, like, you know, abusive, blah, blah, blah. And that was my experience. It really was. And I had to shift that and be like, okay, well, you can sit here in language what's been happening and what you don't want, but what do you want? And I started living in this space of like, men love me, men respect me, men look after me, men value me, and I meet high quality men that I don't need to fix. And since that, like, I've met so many cool guys in my life, you know, just even in the last 6 months, just, you know, genuine men that are in a space of just being respectful and being that masculine energy of creating that safety. And it's really cool to experience, of being like, wow, just since changing my language, my whole experience has changed. So yeah, it's crazy. We don't realize the power of it until we do.
Yeah, that's so true. And such a good example as well. Men in my life, or men that I attract, are going to be those things. Like, they aren't going to be the opposite or anything like that. You express it in a way that you only receive that, and only receive men in your life that are that way. And that's just so powerful. So powerful. All right. Well, I have a couple more questions. I don't want to take too much more of your time, Cheyenne, but
yeah, of course, that's all right. You're fine.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to the listeners that has helped you? Yeah, from whether if it's advice from a friend or a family or from yourself, if there's something that's really resonated with you.
It's going to sound, God, I feel like I need a moment to digest that. I've got a couple. My dad always said to me that always trust your gut, no matter what. It never lies, ever. And it's cool because leaning into that now as an adult, I know that's my intuition, and it doesn't. It never lies.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dad said that to me. And another one was, change is the only thing that's constant. Because I used to hate change when I was growing up. I hated it. I used to be so afraid of it. I never used to want things to change. And I feel like that was because my parents divorced when I was quite young. My life changed a lot, and that was my only experience of change, you know, so I really resisted it. And then I remember Dad said that to me. He's like, change is the only thing that's constant. And then a family friend said, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. And there is. Doesn't matter how long that tunnel is, there's always light at the end of it, and just hang on, because things get better. Not because change is constant, right? Nothing stays the same. Things get better. Don't make a permanent decision to a temporary problem.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
Yeah, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And I guess that's, you know, I don't really feel like that's advice, but I think they're just key things that I've hung on to. That, you know, when things have, when I feel like I'm, you know, have those days where life isn't worth living, or where things are all too much, or nothing's going to change. Like, I remember those little points of just being like, okay, change is constant. Change is the only thing that's constant. There's light at the end of the tunnel, you know, and if they're your lifelines to keep going, then hang on to those, because I certainly have.
There's some really good ones, and I think the listeners will be able to take those away, and just simple ones, just like little reminders throughout the day, like, you know, if you are going through something, like knowing there's, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, and if something doesn't feel right, trust it, because it's usually right. Trusting your gut, trusting your intuition. Sort of, you don't have to go with someone else's decision if it doesn't feel right with you. It doesn't sit well with you, because you may regret it, and life's too short to live with regrets. I don't have any regrets in my life, because I know that everything that I've gone through to where I am today, like in life, I wouldn't be able to learn the lessons and stuff like that too. So it's definitely important to not regret things, but take the lessons from it and learn to not do them again if it wasn't the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Totally resonate with that, Ellie. And I love that you shared that. Because then that would probably be another, I guess, piece of advice is like choose to see the lesson in everything. Choose to look at life that way. Instead of feeling like, oh, you know, this is all happening to me or blah, blah, blah. Just actually ask yourself, be like, what's the lesson in this right now? Maybe I shouldn't have gone out with that guy. Maybe I shouldn't have said yes to that thing I really wanted to say no to. Maybe I should have trusted myself more and you know, gone after that opportunity or whatever. Maybe I shouldn't have listened to what people said. Like, choose to see the lesson in everything, because it's very easy to fall into a space of like, oh, well, this happened to me or blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, the world's against me. But that's your choice if you want to look at it like that. And of course, sometimes shitty things just happen.
Yeah.
But choose to see the lesson in it, because then that gives you the choice to change your life, change your attitude, change the quality of things. Really is up to you. So yeah, I'm really glad that you shared that, because that just lit me up.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up here, Cheyenne, because I could literally talk to you for hours. And I'm conscious of your time.
I know, right? I was like, oh my God, I wonder how long this has been going for.
Thank you so much for coming on. I have loved talking to you, and I'm sure the listeners as well have loved hearing your story and everything that you've touched on. So where can they find you?
Amazing. Thank you, Ellie, again so much for having me and giving me the space to just speak so freely about, you know, my passion and what I'm creating and my journey. It really has been such a privilege to be in this space with you. And yeah, I hope the listeners have gained something from it. Where they can find me is I'm mainly present on Instagram. So it's just at Fuel Your Own Life. So FUEL, Your Own Life. And that's my Facebook page as well. And my website is in the process of coming together too, which will just be www.fuelyourownlife.com. I was about to say at Hotmail. Lol. You can tell I've been sending emails all morning. But yeah, that's where they can find me. So I'm mostly on Instagram.
So cool. Just a quick question. Where did you get Fuel Your Life from, the name?
I don't even know, to be honest. I was just God, I can't even remember where I was, but I was like I was playing with some, you know, business names back in 2019 when I was launching my PT business. And it's funny because when I first started personal training, I knew that it wouldn't be the only thing, you know, like I wanted a business name that was going to be like an umbrella for so many different things, whether that's nutrition or mindset or, you know, fitness, whatever. And I was just like, oh, how can I help people like create their own life or, you know, fuel themselves? And these words just came together and it was like fuel your own life. And I was like, that's literally what I want to teach people to do. So whether that's through nutrition or through coaching or anything like that, like I want to give them the power to fuel their own life. And I remember I went straight onto the internet and typed it in to see if it had been, you know, like, what's the word? You know how people like buy business names?
Yeah.
To see if it had been claimed, I suppose, and it hadn't. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm buying it. It's mine. And yeah, it just took off from there. And so that intention is still there, that it's not just going to be life coaching, you know, it's going to be a brand of something that really does help you fuel your own life. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everything that you create. And yeah, I already know there's something big coming. I can see it. And then you can just see it in the way that you express everything and you tone your voice. It's just so, it's like, I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Like, it's that exciting.
Thank you, Ellie. That means so much. And yeah, I'm so excited to have you along for the ride too. And I just love the work that you're doing as well and how you're showing up and, you know, getting your message out there as well. Because we've all come from different walks of life. And I think the more that we can share and express that, the more we can create this energy of like anything's possible. you know, and you're not alone. You've got this community of people that are also on this journey. And just keep big things coming your way too, my girl. Just keep showing up and doing what you're doing, because I mean, you inspire me, and I'm sure many other people as well. And it's just, it's really cool to be in this space and to have connected with you. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Such a nice way to end the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome, beautiful.